In early 2019, the Argentinian footballer Emiliano Sala was looking forward to life as a Premier League footballer with Cardiff City before he was unexpectedly and tragically killed in a plane crash.
Football is a sport of passion, joy, and unforgettable moments. But within the beauty of the game lies a darker side, a side filled with tragedy and heartbreak. Imagine the electricity of a packed stadium, the anticipation of a crowd, the roar of the fans. Then, in an instant, everything changes. A player collapses on the field, the cheers turn to gasps, and the world holds its breath. Moments like these remind us of the fragility of life, even in a sport that brings so much happiness. Today, we're diving deep into the darkest chapter of football, the most heartbreaking deaths that have shaken the world of sport to its core. Marc Vivien Foé was a towering presence on the pitch, a central figure in the Cameroon national team, and a player who had left his mark in both French and English football. On June 26, 2003, during a FIFA Confederations Cup semi-final against Colombia, tragedy struck. Midway through the second half, Foé collapsed in the center circle, far from any opposing players. The crowd, initially confused, quickly realized the seriousness of the situation as medical staff rushed onto the field. Despite the best efforts of the medical team, Foé could not be revived. He was pronounced dead shortly after being carried off the pitch. The cause of death was later determined to be a hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, a heart condition that is often undetected in athletes. Foé's death sent shockwaves throughout the football world. His teammates, his opponents, and millions of fans mourned a player who had been at the peak of his career, suddenly taken away in such a public and tragic manner. Foé's death led to increased awareness and measures regarding player health, including more rigorous health checks and the presence of defibrillators at every professional match. His legacy, though tragically cut short, lives on through the lessons learned and the lives potentially saved due to the increased vigilance. Antonio Puerta was one of Sevilla's most promising young talents, a player with a bright future ahead of him. On August 25, 2007, during the first match of the La Liga season against Getafe, Puerta collapsed on the pitch after suffering a cardiac arrest. Initially, he was able to walk off the field with the assistance of the medical team, given hope that the worst had been avoided. However, in the dressing room, he collapsed again, and this time, his condition was critical. Puerta was rushed to the hospital, where he was placed in intensive care. Sadly, despite the efforts of the medical staff, Puerta passed away 3 days later due to multiple organ failure resulting from prolonged cardiac arrest. He was just 22 years old. Puerta's death was a devastating blow to Sevilla FC and the football community at large. His loss was particularly felt by his teammates and fans who had watched him grow from a youth player to a key figure in the team. Puerta's death also highlighted the importance of immediate and effective medical response during matches, leading to further improvements in player health protocols. In January 2019, the football world was stunned by the news of Emiliano Sala's disappearance. The Argentine striker had just signed with Cardiff City from French club Nantes and was on his way to join his new team. On the night of January 21, the private plane carrying Sala and pilot David Ibbotson disappeared over the English Channel. Search and rescue efforts were initially hampered by poor weather conditions, but the football community came together, raising funds to continue the search after the official efforts were called off. On February 3rd, the wreckage from the plane was found on the seabed, and a few days later, Sala's body was recovered. Sala's death was a tragic reminder of the risks associated with air travel, especially in smaller privately chartered planes. The football world mourned a player who had finally achieved his dream of playing in the Premier League, only to have his life tragically cut short. Investigations into the accident revealed a series of oversights and failures, leading to calls for stricter regulations and safety measures in such flights. Davida's story was more than just a footballer. He was the captain of Fiorentina, a respected leader both on and off the pitch. On March 4, 2018, the football world was shocked to learn that a story had passed away in his sleep at the team hotel, just before a scheduled Serie A match against Udinese. Ettori's death was attributed to his sudden cardiac arrest, a condition that had gone undetected despite regular medical checkups. The news of his passing sent shockwaves throughout Italian football. with matches being postponed and tributes pouring in from around the world. Astori's death prompted renewed calls for more comprehensive heart screenings for athletes, as well as greater awareness of heart conditions that can go undetected, even in those who appear to be in peak physical condition. His legacy is remembered not just for his contributions on the pitch, but also for the love and respect he commanded from teammates, opponents, and fans alike. On January 25, 2004, during a Prima-era Liga match between Benfica and Vitória de Guimarães, Hungarian forward Miklos Fejer collapsed on the field after receiving a yellow card. At first, it seemed like a minor incident. Players often go down for various reasons during a match. However, it quickly became apparent that this was no ordinary fall. Fejer was immediately attended to by medical staff, but despite their best efforts, he was unable to be revived and was pronounced dead shortly afterward. The cause of death was later identified as cardiac arrhythmia, a condition that can cause sudden heart failure. Fejer's death was a tragic event that brought immense grief to his family, teammates, and the entire football community. His untimely passing led to increased focus on heart-related health issues in football, with clubs across Europe implementing more stringent health protocols in the hopes of preventing similar tragedies. The story of Chapecoense is one of the most heart-wrenching in football history. The Brazilian club was on the rise, having reached the finals of the Copa Sudamericana, a remarkable achievement for a team that had been playing in Brazil's lower divisions just a few years earlier. On November 28, 2016, the team was en route to Colombia for the first leg of the final against Atlético Nacional when their chartered flight crashed into the mountains near Medellin. 71 of the 77 passengers on board were killed, including 19 Chapecoense players, most of the coaching staff, and several journalists. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the football world, and the response was one of overwhelming solidarity. Atlético Nacional requested that Chapecoense be awarded the Copa Sudamericana title, a gesture that was unanimously approved by CONMEBOL. The crash highlighted the importance of air travel safety and led to increased scrutiny of the conditions and regulations surrounding chartered flights. Chapecoense's story is a painful reminder of how quickly life can change and how a community can come together in the face of unimaginable loss. The club has since rebuilt with the support of the global football community, but the memory of those lost will never be forgotten. On April 12, 2012, during a Serie B match between Livorno and Pescara, Pier Mariano Morosini suddenly collapsed on the pitch. The 25-year-old midfielder, who was on loan at Livorno from Udinese, showed signs of distress before falling on the ground. Despite the efforts of medical personnel, Morosini was pronounced dead upon arrival at the hospital. An autopsy later revealed that he had suffered a cardiac arrest due to a congenital heart condition. The incident was made all the more tragic by the fact that Morosini had already faced significant hardship in his life, having lost both his parents and a disabled brother in the years leading up to his own death. Morosini's death sparked widespread mourning in Italy, with marches being postponed and tributes paid across the football world. It also reinforced the need for immediate medical response and thorough health checks for players, particularly those with a family history of heart problems. The Hillsborough disaster, though not the death of a player, remains one of the most devastating tragedies in football history. On April 15, 1989, during the FA Cup semi-final between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest, a crush occurred in the overcrowded Leapings Lane stand at Sheffield Wednesday's Hillsborough Stadium. 96 Liverpool fans lost their lives, and hundreds more were injured in what remains the deadliest stadium disaster in British history. The tragedy was caused by a combination of poor crowd control, inadequate safety measures, and failures in emergency response. The aftermath of Hillsborough was marked by a long and painful quest for justice by the families of the victims, who fought tirelessly to uncover the truth about what happened that day. The disaster led to significant changes in stadium design and crowd management practices, ensuring that such a tragedy would never happen again. These stories serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the unpredictable nature of football. The sport we love so much, filled with joy, excitement, and passion, also has a side that is profoundly tragic. Each of these deaths, whether on the field or off, has left a permanent mark on the football community, shaping the way we understand and approach the game today. If these stories have moved you and you want to continue exploring the deeper, sometimes darker aspects of football, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell. We have so many more stories to share, and we want you to be a part of the community here at All About Football. Also, we'd love to hear your thoughts, whether it's about these tragic moments or other stories that have touched you. Leave a comment below and join the conversation. Until next time, stay safe, and let's keep the spirit of football alive.